Thank you. My name is Greg Cory. I'm an actor, director, and filmmaker, parent, and grandparent. Every Pennsylvania child has a right to be healthy, to have a good education, to have the opportunity to succeed. To deny funding for programs that would ensure these rights is to punish children for their particularly vulnerable place in society. In Pennsylvania, 15.75% of children under age 5 live in poverty. This, to me, is unacceptable. Congress has proposed modest funding increases for critical programs to give all children a chance to succeed, yet President Bush has threatened to veto these necessary increases. Let's take a look at State Children's Health Insurance Program, otherwise known as SHIP. No child should be forced to forego quality health care just because his or her parents can't afford to buy private insurance, yet today there are 9 million uninsured children in America. The need for increased funding for health care is obvious. In Pennsylvania, 9.3% of children, more than 280,000, have no health insurance. As a result, the House has proposed to provide enough funding to allow an additional 5 million children to receive health insurance under SHIP, $50 billion over 5 years in new funds. Most of these children could be eligible under the current SHIP law, but are not covered because the funding is inadequate. The Senate voted to add $35 billion, which would allow 4 million additional children to receive health coverage. Congress proposes $50 billion in coverage for SHIP, while the President proposes only $5 billion. What we need to consider is how different things would have been if Congress had followed different priorities. Pennsylvania's share of funding of the Iraq War through 2007, $17.4 billion, can provide health care to 5,135,438 uninsured children, 18 times over the number of uninsured children in Pennsylvania. For the cost of tax cuts for the wealthiest 1%, almost 1 million of Pennsylvania's children could have had access to health care through June of this year. It's time to set the priorities straight. Cost of fully funding SHIP coverage in the U.S. for 1 year equals 53.5 days of spending on the Iraq War. Head Start, of which all of my children took part. Head Start is a critical link to quality education for millions of preschool children from poor and working poor families. Its widely recognized success in improving children's development and school readiness has resulted in expansion and lasting presence since its expansion 42 years ago. But in recent years, that quality has been threatened by shrinking funds. In Pennsylvania, 35,372 children involved in the Head Start program has been cut by 7.5% in the last 6 years. And if further cuts by the President are enacted, almost 1,100 more children will be cut from Pennsylvania's Head Start program next year. Now, the President has prioritized tax cuts for millionaires and war in Iraq over the children of our nation, the future of America. The cost of Pennsylvania's share of the $56.5 billion in tax cuts for the super rich this year could send almost 400,000 more children through Head Start. For Pennsylvania's share of the war through this year, every 3- and 4-year-old in Pennsylvania could be enrolled in Head Start with money left over. How about a basic right? Quality K through 12 education. All children in America have the right to a quality education. Yet President Bush has threatened to veto even modest funding increases proposed by Congress for critical education programs. This budget provides Pennsylvania with $30.3 million less than the House's funding for grants to school districts with low-income students, Title I, the key element of his signature initiative, No Child Left Behind. Now, if the President prevents the House funding from being enacted and Pennsylvania loses that $30.3 million, yes, it would mean 330 new teachers not hired in Pennsylvania, breaking the promises of improved education made when No Child Left Behind was enacted. Overall, President Bush's budget would cut elementary and secondary education funding by over $131 million in Pennsylvania over 5 years relative to the funding levels set this year. For the cost of Pennsylvania's share of the $56.5 billion in tax cuts for the wealthiest 1%, 41,309 more elementary school teachers could have been hired, and 174 more elementary schools could have been built. Indeed, for the cost of Pennsylvania's share of the war in Iraq through this year, 287,581 more teachers could have been hired. This from the president, who 7 years ago said he wanted history to remember him as the education president. No Child Left Behind has become okay. I guess we're going to leave a few behind after all. Thank you very much.